Yes, cool. Hey everyone, I'm Tim. I'm a software developer at Alan, working mainly on developer experience, AI, any kind of similar stuff. Today we're going to talk about a new tool we have at Alan, which is called Hopper. So Hopper is Alan's AI companion, and let me tell you a bit. Okay, that's about Alan. You heard that already. Let me tell you a bit about the life before Hopper. So before having such tool, the software development lifecycle was really into silos. We used to have stakeholders, product managers, any kind of persona doing the scope of some features. Then starting to hand over for the framing to either a PM or a designer, and then engineers focusing solely on engineering and the making of the feature. This created quite a lot of friction because there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of loss of context between the different teams. In 2025, a lot changed. There was the emergence of new models like Opus and of new amazing tools like Cursor, obviously, which allowed to bring AI into that software development lifecycle and really helping at any level. So it's when we decided, or actually our engineering lead was here, Alex, that we should change our mindset. It's not just about engineering building anymore. It's about everyone can build. The idea is really like code is becoming a shared interface where everyone can contribute because it's much easier than before to start to code because you have AI as a junior engineer you can use. So we got started with a few different initiatives. One is obviously to bring a lot more people on Cursor. So we started to onboard all designers, all product managers on the same environment as engineers. Basically, on their laptop, we installed Cursor and we told them, hey, you have access to the code base. You can start iterating on the product. You're basically a junior engineer now. It worked very well. It was very successful on a lot of parts. People were really loving the fact that they will become more autonomous. But the issue is that working with local environments for non-engineers is quite tricky. Like it can be hard to maintain. It can need a quite beefy machine. You have to educate people. People are not engineers. It's not because you start to ship code that you are an engineer. You need to learn how to test. You need to learn how to navigate a code base. And this doesn't come like magic. AI doesn't solve everything. There is also a security aspect. When stuff runs locally, you have no control over are you actually allowing Cursor to run any tools and always having, instead of reviewing what it tries to do, are you sending some secrets, some sensitive data to your AI, which is a major issue. We also tried another approach, which is to rely on a tool where we were already working with, which is Linear, which we use for any kind of either product management or ticketing or issues for a lot of different use cases. So we started to build our own background agents. It's quite similar to what Paul presented earlier with the Cursor Cloud Agent. It didn't exist for our use case at the time. But the idea is you have a place where you can trigger it, you can delegate the work, you can go back, live your life. You don't need a computer or anything. You can even do it from your phone if you want. And then you get a reply from the agent, either an investigation, a pull request or anything. So we started to build that on top of Cloud Code. And it was actually working very well. People were started to use it in Slack, in Linear. And it actually showed us that relying on background and cloud agents was kind of the way forward to be able to onboard more people as builder, less tech-savvy people. So people will start on such tools, delegate to the agents, then open a pull request, and then an engineer will bring it to the end to a ship like the feature in production. What we saw is that people didn't just use it for coding use case. It went further than that, and they started to use them as productivity tooling. So we saw some people starting to frame some discussion, some issue, but not even about product building. It could be about writing a review or feedback to someone or anything. We also saw that AI is not helping just to build. So it's not only about everyone can build. It's actually about any craft, because every skill is becoming more accessible. It doesn't mean that AI will make you replaced by something else or by anyone. You still have some expertise, but at a certain level, everyone can start to data, to prototype, to automate their workflow, or to run some discovery about the market, for instance. All of that was already possible to do, but it was super fragmented. Basically, we had some tools like Linear where we could start for coding use case. We would have Cursor for the same use case locally for mostly engineers. We'll start to have Metabase, which is run for data, to run some analysis on the company data, Figma for live prototyping, or more recently, Cloud Cowork for productivity use case. Another thing we were asking yourself is about the trust and security aspects. We do put a lot of trust in aligners. We do believe on individuals, but a mistake can always happen, and we had no control over that. So we need a story where we are in control of the residency of the data to make sure it stays in Europe, it stays in compliance in terms of hosting. We need to make sure that no data can leak in any way, either sensitive data from our members or a password or whatever. And we also need to make sure we can track back to who did what and why, to make sure we can know what happens in our systems. One last learning is there is a lot of stuff happening, and frontier labs around AI are shipping amazing stuff, amazing ecosystems. For instance, if we take Anthropic as an example, they have great model with Claude, with Opus or Sonnet. They have a Claude Code, which is working very well, Claude Cowork and that kind of stuff. But once you buy in, you're locked. Basically, if you start to optimize your workflow for Claude Cowork, and one day you want to start to use another model like, I don't know, Cursor Composer, you can't, or you have to switch back everything. So it becomes a risk because you're not free to do whatever you want. And it's when we started to work on Hopper, which is this cute little furry ball. Hopper is basically our own background agent. It started as a coding background agent, mostly. So it's very similar, again, to Cursor background agent for that aspect. It's a tool where you have an interface. You can talk to it. You can talk to it from Slack, from Linear. You can ask it to open pull requests to test what it did and that kind of stuff. I won't do the whole story that Paul just did. And it really helped to unify. Basically, you start losing context because everything happens at the same place. You can start, for instance, exploring and querying your company data. You can start iterating on how to shape a feature, and then you can start designing like really inside your same tool. And it lives where you work, so it has a whole company context. As Alan, we are as transparent as possible internally. So every Hopper session is multiplayer and transparent by design. The idea is that we believe knowledge from AI can compound. When you see someone from your company having a great use case to becoming better, to advance and to automate themselves, everyone who sees it can learn from it and even improve that workflow. So in the end, we want people to see it. It also allows to share, like, you can start as an engineer to code a feature, but before you will hand it over to the designer for review, he will say, hey, you need to tweak that design, and you go back to coding. But here you can just give the session to your designers, they will see the results, they will iterate, and there is less friction and less loss of context. So we also made it so it's very useful for all roles. It's not just the coding agents. We started from the promise to make everyone build, but now it's really more than that. So we see engineers like investigating incidents, opening pull requests and coding, but we also see data asking questions, testing some hypotheses, product running some prototyping, and even other completely different persona like sales who could prepare a call to research for a company. But Hopper is more than a product. The way we build it, it's a set of bricks which are independent, will really take shape when they go together. So we build it as a platform where we wanted to de-risk a moving market. So every month there is something new, and it's more every couple of days. There is a new model, a new harness, a new way of working, a new workflow, and it's risky for a company to go all in on all of that. So if you build individual bricks that you can plug and replace, you basically de-risk all of that. One of the big aspects, sorry for the people slightly less technical, is to have a custom MCP gateway. The MCP is how your cursor or your agent talks to any third party where there is context, to call Notion, to call Slack, or internal tools. And so one of the first things we've been building is a gateway that we can plug to Hopper so it can use it, but also to other tools. Like if you're still working on Cloud Code, on Cowork, on Cursor, you can definitely use it and you benefit from all of it. And all of it manages all your connections. You don't have to re-log in the tools like on every single client. It manages the security aspect, making sure that we don't leak that data from the clients to the provider giving you the AI inference or to the third-party tools. So the composable bricks is what keeps us very adaptable now. We can swap models, like today we use a lot Anthropic model, for instance, but they are not the only ones that are very good, and we can easily swap to any other model. We run on open code, but since now Cursor has a SDK, we could also swap that part and still benefit from the whole ecosystem we've built. It's really tooling agnostic. We're still in the process because like 6 months ago, Hopper wasn't even remotely on our roadmap. Everything changed way too fast. But we've been building that and we'll continue investing. Some of it is live, something is construction. And we're considering also open sourcing some of it because we do want something that's really like the one companion that's for EU health systems, because we are very constrained on that front and we want to be irreproachable and to make sure nothing can leak anywhere. So if you're interested in building it with us, come talk to us. We have open source topics to discuss. And that's it.
Thanks. No question for Tim? And then we'll move to Misha.
Hello. Thank you a lot for your field experience. I wanted to know, has been a trigger for moving from local laptop to into like a dedicated platform? Because for us, we are way smaller, and committing to something is a risk for us, as you explained. So, what has been the trigger, if any, like to decide to build that?
So for us, it's really a mix. I don't believe that will replace fully a local environment. This is still super useful. For us, the trigger was mostly to onboard non-engineers. With an application the size of Alan, it's quite massive. It has a lot of constraint dependencies, whatever. It's quite tricky to get it installed and maintained on someone that's less technical. So the first thing was really to make sure that any profile, any job at Alan could onboard in one click. You don't have to think about the local environment. But we still maintain local environment for engineers and some more tech-savvy product profiles.
Okay, thank you very much, and great work.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I have one question around the environments you built. So the agents actually is coding on one application. I don't know if you have a monolithic application, but does the environment contains like a subset of application? Is a multi-service one or just one code base?
It's one code base, but Alan is working on a single big code base, so it's easier.
Okay, you don't have any external service like databases or whatsoever?
We do have some, but basically what we do is we build the same exact, we have one single development environment, even in local, with everything in it, like code base, Redis cluster, and everything. And we do build that for in a container, and we use that also for Hopper.
And for data, you have kind of a snapshot of the data that you use for...
yes, so that's a different service we have, but even for devs, we do have some a snapshot of anonymized snapshot of part of our database to be able to work with production-like data, but definitely not production data.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm curious about your linear integration. So you write a prompt in the issue, every in this, and then you set an assignee as an agent. How does it work?
It's an API from Linear. Now you can build agents in Linear. You don't even have to prompt it. You can just assign it, or you can do an @Hopper like you will ping anyone, and it will delegate to us, and we just interact with Linear through an API. It's but yeah, it's basically we assign to it, and it handles the tickets.
Okay, thanks.
Hi. You mentioned, so you switched from a numerous of toolings to Hopper, basically. And how was the adoption or the difference of friction between having a lot of tooling to one? Does Hopper have been like welcomed, everything was positive, or you have like some negative things happening?
That's a good question. First, we haven't stopped using the other tools for now. We still run them in parallel while we keep building more features inside Hopper, because the goal of Hopper is to make people more productive. So we want to make sure that it's able to handle all their productivity workflow. But what we saw actually, before we wanted to replace some of the tools, we saw people trying to do the same thing in Hopper and basically missing just one or two features. So it helped us drive the roadmap and say, okay, people are already trying to replace that by Hopper, and we didn't even plan for replacing that. So we integrated it. But we'll see the day we fully switch everything. It might be a different story, I don't know. But adoption has been quite good. And just one more thing on that, we don't plan on actually having all the features from these other products. That's not the idea. We can't fight against, Anthropic building Cloud Cowork, and it's not the goal. It's more we plan to build more consciously, basically to focus on what really matters for us.
Hi, that's not much a technical question. Louis said earlier that one of your missions was about the mental health. And my question was more about how do you keep your team mental health good when everything is going so fast. You can ship a lot within a second, and in the past it wasn't like this. It was like you were working on a subject for a day, and you had this dopamine where you had the success of doing the task. How do you manage to keep everyone entertained and in good mental health?
That's a tricky one. We don't have a full story for that, to be completely honest. It's something we still learn as we go. What we do is we try to keep people focused. It's not because we have AI that we need to do everything and build everything. That's not the idea. It's just that you can build better because you have something to assist you. It doesn't mean you have to build 10 features in parallel. You can if you want, and if you I mean, some people love multitasking. I'm not part of those people, actually, but still you can benefit from it. And it's more a matter of you don't want to push AI just for the sake of everyone should use AI and you should use 10 parallel sessions at the same time. It's more like, okay, how can we integrate AI in a conscious and sane way in our workflow? But to be completely honest, I think sometime at some point, someone will probably burn out because of that, because we don't know yet how to fully protect ourselves, and it's something we really want to invest into making better, because we believe it's going to be a massive issue overall in the ecosystem in the years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot for the presentation. It's super interesting. I wonder, do you think you managed to create an environment that is completely safe from mistakes from your coworker, or and without any time lost sometimes? Because I know now software developers can be maybe 10 times more productive. So I think, don't you think sometimes it would have been better if you have done the task rather than someone, and maybe you have to back a mistake someone made?
I'm not sure to fully get what you mean.
Is the result of putting everyone as a software participant, is it completely positive?
Putting everyone as a software developer, no. For us, no, it's not positive, and it's not fully what we're pushing for. We want people to have agents that can help you in your day-to-day, and I think most of the people can contribute to the product without being a software engineer. To give you an example, if someone from care, from your customer support, receive a feedback about, I don't know, a wording that's wrong or a mistake, it doesn't bring any value to file a ticket, bring an engineer and do it. And it's not really, you don't need a big engineering mindset to do it. You can just do it and send the result to an engineer and you call it a day. But we won't have that same care people try to build really stronger features. That's not the idea. We will break some silos. I think we had a great example before from someone coming from a PM background, becoming basically an engineer. But it doesn't mean people on the far end of the building spectrum will become engineers tomorrow. And it will, if we do that, will bring more friction, because basically you'll ship stuff that's not necessarily good, as you said, not everything ends up safe, or you will spend your engineers, like the expert, will spend all the time just reviewing and fixing mistakes, and you don't want that. So it's not about making everyone at the same level of engineering.
Thank you.
All right, last question.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. My question was about something linked to the previous one. How do you deal with reviews, actually, peer pull request reviews? Does Hopper does this alongside your engineer? And yeah, do you have some strategy about making good slices, about features to improve it?
So for now, all our code reviews are still fully manual with a human in the loop. Every line of code is supposed to be reviewed. We're currently looking into how we want to change that with two levels, basically. One is having a free pass basically made by agents. So close to what Paul said, like having, even if you have an agent implement some things, then you can have many agents challenge it until they are all satisfied in some way. So you bring something to the human in a better shape. And after, it's more about how do you assist the human to review the code. And here Opera has also a part to play in that, to do a semantic review stuff where you group indeed part of code, where you start to be okay with, okay, it's just a word change. Does it really need to be reviewed by a human? But there is also still a big compliance story. We still work in a system that's quite regulated. So we're still playing around with to see really what we can, and reviews are becoming a bottleneck.
Thanks a lot.